Local Bill number 22-15 and House Local Bill number 22-20. And these two bills was introduced by Congressman San Nicolas. And we're here to hear the comment from Mayor Edwin P. O'Don of Tinian and Aguiguan, the 18th Tinian Municipal Council, and the resident department head of the Department of Land Natural Resources. And these two bill, the House Local Bill 22-15 is to prohibit the hunting of Micronesia starling or Paluman Sali on Tinian until the year 2026 and for other purposes. And the other legislation, House Local Bill 22-20, is to prohibit the hunting of sambar deer on Tinian until the year 2026 and for other purposes. And also, most especially, also to allow the members of the general public to make comments on this particular legislation. So with that said, at this time, I call this public hearing to order. Today is Thursday, June 9, 2022, at approximately 5:14 in the afternoon here at Tinian Courthouse, San Jose, Tinian. At this time, I ask, or let me, for the record, let me mention that the LB staff that are here assisting the Tinian delegation with us, the legal counsel of the Senate side is Counsel Antoinette Villagomez, and the senior legislative assistant is Ms. Jolene Tangabel, and with us the Sergeant Army Mr. John Santos, and the IT in charge for recording is Mr. Kamatsu. At this time, I ask Ms. Tangabel to please call the roll.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz,
Here.
Senator Judy Hochschneider, Senator Carl R. King Neighbors, Representative Patrick H. San Nicolas.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, 3 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you, Jolene. With 3 members present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. However, Senator Carl Nevers is excused. At this time, from the members, do I hear a motion for the adoption of our agenda for this public hearing? There's a motion and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And now, under line item 4, the legislation before us is House Local Bill number 22-15 to prohibit the hunting of Micronesia starling or Paluman Sali on Tinian until year 2025 and for other purposes. And House Local Bill number 22-20 to prohibit the hunting of sambar deer on Tinian until the year 2026 and for other purposes. And before I allow the members of the general public to make comment, I would like to recognize the witnesses that are requested to be present and to provide comments if they wish during this public hearing. First on the list is the Honorable Mayor Edwin P. O'Don. I believe someone is here to represent the mayor. And if you're here, please come up to the podium. And before you proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
My check. My name is Carl Espinosa. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Edwin P. O'Don. Hafiday and good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and members of the legislative delegation. Hafiday and good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and the Tinian and Aguiguan legislative delegation members. For the record, my name is Edwin P. Aldan, and I am the mayor of Tinian and Aguiguan. Thank you for the opportunity to deliver my testimony for the proposed House Local Bills 22-15 and 22-20. House Local Bill 22-15 intends to prohibit the hunting of the Micronesian starling, locally known as Paluman Sali, on Tinian until 2025. From what was stated in the proposed bill, the Tinian and Aguiguan legislative delegation finds the protection of the Micronesian starling is vital to the current and future generation of Tinian residents. I agree with this finding. The Micronesian starling plays a crucial role in maintaining the abundance of the world famous Tinian hot pepper. Furthermore, it is indigenous to only two places in the world, the Northern Mariana Islands and Palau. We as a community must do everything we can to protect and preserve our land, our natural resources, and the animals known to the Micronesian region. We need to protect what is indigenous. The passage of this bill is a stepping stone in that direction. The other proposed House Local Bill number 22-20, also up for discussion today, contains the same concept regarding sandbar deers in Tinian. The sandbar deers, for a while, were nearly extinct as many local hunters would hunt these animals as one form of subsistence. It wasn't until the late former mayor Jose P. San Nicolas Chandia worked on transporting them over to the Castizo Zoo that brought them back here. A 2-year prohibition period allows the sandbar deers to multiply. With that said, I support the proposed House Bill 22-20. Conservation, preservation, and protection are what we must focus on now. We must find ways to protect what shall always remain: our land, natural resources, indigenous animals, and the ocean. In addition, I would like to suggest that we look into establishing marine protected areas, especially the oceans close to home. This recommendation will allow us to further protect our oceans and coastlines, and more importantly, allow our marine ecosystem to thrive, which benefits our community. Furthermore, we would like to request for 5,000 for fuel for fish and wildlife and 5,000 for the waterline project. We cannot give fish and wildlife the responsibility to protect the Paluman Sali and the sandbar deers without giving them the necessary resources to do what is needed. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today, and I wish you all a great rest of your afternoon. Sizus Masi.
Thank you, Mr. Espinosa. And before I recognize the next person to comment on this legislation, first I would like to clarify this from our staff. Council Anna Jolin, I see on the legislation year 2026, but on the agenda 2025 on the Solomon Sali. Which one year is
For the Roman Sali is gonna be 2025. For the Summer Deer, it's gonna be 2026.
just to clarify this one, because we don't want the general public to misinform the public, because we keep repeating 2025 and the legislation before us is 2026. So just want to make sure that we're consistent with the year here.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, in the discussion.
Yes, sir.
I think
So with no
sorry, Chairman.
Thank you. We allowed the council and the staff to make correction on that year for the Paluman Sali to until the year 2025 instead of 2026. So for your information, members of the public that are in the gallery that have copy, just make correction on that. Instead of 2026, it's 2025. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to recognize any representative from the Tinian Municipal Council. They can either make comment, oral comments today, or maybe perhaps before we act on this legislation to provide a written comment. So at this time, if there's no one from the Municipal Council that is here, I would like to recognize now the resident permit head of the Tinian Land and Natural Resources, Mr. Guillermo Sibora. And before you proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Guillermo C. Borja. I'm a resident department head for the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, and all the members here. Uh, Let me start off with House Local Bill 22-15. I supported this bill because I think this will help us with the Donisali here. We all knew that the salt is the main carrier of seeds that spreads all over our island. But I have some questions and perhaps some of the answers here. Title 85 of the Department of Lands and Natural Resources. It states that the Micronesian crow sally is placed under protective. In other words, the LNR got their own regulation and is protecting the sally. But this is House Local Bill, so this one is supersedes the Department of Lands and Natural Resources issue here. The intention of this bill is good. However, the biggest problem that depletes the Donisali are us, the people. The reason why I say that, because us, when we go in the forest to look for Donisali, we break branches, we pull the plants. So that makes it the number one depletion of the Donisali. We all see people sometimes on Facebook picking hot peppers at home because they rather pick it at home than pick it out in the jungle because of the heat. Number two, this is just my own opinion. Climate change. The whole world is getting hotter. Rains are getting rarer. This prevents the growth of the Donisali to flourish and be abundant. Number three, the invasive species that we have here on the island. That's another contributing factor that depletes the Donisali. It deprived the Donisali from sunlight. Okay, that's it on the crow. Okay, the intention of this bill, House Bill 22-20, the deer, is good and I supported that bill. However, under Section 1, Line 9, states that it will only be closed for 2 years. And then on the top of this bill, it shows 4 years. So I'm kind of confused here. Senate Bill 8530.13-315 states that bow and arrow is allowable for hunting. In my opinion, Mr. Chairman, Tinian is very small. Hunting grounds are very limited, unlike the United States where you can go hectares and hectares and not see anybody there. The reason why I included this because it's pretty dangerous. On guns, at least you can hear that the hunter is coming closer to you, so you stay away. On the bow and arrow, nobody hears that. It's very silent. And it's very dangerous. You go to Gore Island, maybe 4 hunters with gun will become pretty dangerous. If you have bow and arrow in there, it becomes more dangerous. No, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but it's a silent killer. We got limited grounds here. Like right now, only Castillo and maybe Masalug area is open, and most of them are in the military retention area. Plus, there is a law also limiting the hunting of deer. You cannot hunt at night. You cannot hunt within so many feet from residential. Tinian is almost practically covered by people. No, so those are the things that we need to do to consider. That is all that I have, Mr. Chairman, and if you have questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you, Director Bora. At this time, I would like to recognize the Chairman of the Municipal Council. Sir, this legislation before us is to comment whether you're in support of the two legislation or not. So,
So,
at this time, I'd like to recognize the Chairman of the 18th Tinian Municipal Council, Mr. Joseph Santos.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and rest of the members of the delegation. Thank you for the opportunity to give me the opportunity to comment on the two House Local Bill 22-15 and 22-20. For House Local Bill 22-15, I commend your effort to pursue such measures to protect the bird that is very important to the propagation of one of our wild owl peppers called Donisali. However, please consider appropriating the necessary funding so that the municipal enforcement personnel for the municipal effort and personnel in enforcing House Local Bill 22-15. And for House Local Bill 22-20, I also highly commend your endeavor to protect the sambar deer on Tinian. However, if I may, I would like to recommend that to maximize the protection, we should look into extricating wild dogs that are here on the island that may pose a greater danger to the offspring of the deer and preventing the increase of population. And for that, I'm in support of both bill. And I thank you again for the opportunity to comment on these two bills. For the record, my name is Joseph E. Santos.
Thank you, Chairman Santos. And if at this time I would like to open the floor for public comment. Anyone in the gallery who wishes to come forward, whether you're in support or not in support, you're welcome to come forward and make comments. If you choose to speak in vernacular, we will allow that. Feel free to speak in vernacular if you want to speak in vernacular. Public comment is now open. Before you proceed, sir, state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. For the record, my name is Esteban Cabrera. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to submit testimony for House Local Bill 22-15 and 22-20. Mr. Chairman, the proposal of House Local Bill 22-15 to make changes in the NMI Administrative Code, Title 85, Chapter 85-30 is a step in the right direction. With that said, I still would like to earnestly plead with you all to consider my recommendation to ban outright the hunting of the Palamanzali in our municipality. While it is indeed a common knowledge in our community that the Palamanzali is the primary seed disperser of Tinian's hot pepper, I would like to share my 3 reasons why I recommend for an outright ban. Number 1, there is another seasonal hunting bird, and that is the island collared dove, locally known as kunao. Number 2, the interest in hunting bird legally is just not there in our municipality. In fiscal year 2020, only 2 permits were issued. In fiscal year 2021, only 1. And in our current fiscal year, as of April 2022, only 2 permits were issued so far. Number 3, there is what I like to call balancing Tinian's economic activities versus impacts on Tinian's wildlife and natural resources. With various activities Tinian is now witnessing, whether it's because of local or federal government projects or the private sector new or upgrade investments now ongoing, what will surely take place immediately is the booming of population. This will then be followed by other issues that will arise affecting directly or indirectly Tinian's wildlife and natural resources. I, for one, will not wait to see what Tinian will be like starting 2025. The time to act is now, because within the next 2 years, in my opinion, it's very critical to act proactively and not reactively. And I would also like to thank Congressman San Nicolas for introducing this local bill. Again, I would like to reiterate my recommendation for an outright ban in the hunting of Tinian's Palamanzali, because indeed, Tinian's hot pepper is undeniably mangingi sa paramunaas po o sino perfecto appetizer. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, in reference to House Local Bill 22-20, I fully support this bill. Thank you.
Deputy, the issue of permits are you referring to permit to hunt Palumansali? Is that
No, for the what's this? Lacuno. That's the permit.
or you referring to another
Fish and
bird?
Wildlife is issuing.
Referring to another bird, not the blackbird,
The what?
not the blackbird, the Sali. You're referring to
Mhm.
another bird of issuing of permit.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying on
covering
the?
only the Kuno. That's
Kuno?
the
Okay.
one where the Fish and Wildlife is
Thank you. Just to clarify that one.
giving
Thank
up.
you.
Yeah.
Still open for public comment. Jangan nama langan cuma finance tomorrow no. Ti problema.
Buenas, Chairman and Membro. Si Jeffrey Snyder, resident in Tinian. O sa popotas ti House Local Bill 22-15 lo wa uno question malago bi faisin namjo. Como uno jo na lancero sa prohibit no mahan ni sali akakal ni artis papaza dan ni cedda ko pabila kampisen ne jo orsinya bipuno. Y otro, por este House Local Bill 22-20, ibinodo ang masufa pat mapaki pramono wati katni. Elwa, si Masi.
Susmasyon na nga zomo no recommendations and sempia no Mr. Snyder been discussing no sa ni members until they been finalized for passage na. Jangan ginagawa na ba namin day i-view, then we'll ask the author if they can consider the class an option pata nene zomo no concern no ni jangan aksidente. I think in the past Aguiguan no ji tagi mapuno no waka. I think they gave the naman ko ne lo i authority guy relies on the no MPCA domicili para manugati lo. It will be great if maybe we'll make it very clear on the legislation. No. Okay, thank you. Still open for public comment. Go ahead, sir, and please state your name for the
Okay.
record. Thank you.
In honor si Joseph Torres San Nicolas. Ni matata sungso gano gato zo kung kafa siya man masangan. Kulan no azauzo za iliku na tipabe nabubo na pabe fanai no agradecimento na za bitutunga sa Congressman San Nicolas. O agradece este na si Tomo senyor za guaha man pro guaha ti man pro no pros and cons sa ungo. Gole ko na credit card man po siya i hafan na loan ni pro mapasa uzong za zangen no guaha question no za wagang departamento mampus ti ma-assist zo sa tutungo no tumaymano na taza gikado gwaw kentusi por pabi fanyorda no informasyon por esti ipaluman sali watenti 3 ani gagaygi si difunto San Nicolas asanganya zo afat tiningonya lo taza concrete evidence na puri afa ginagagawa ng informasyon. Pues man leave zo message pabi maagang tati. Kasi di palaan ni sa marfag pago talo na ani ni watem. I palaan ni manopi liko sa ngani kosinya idirekton mo agang zo tati sa preciso esti. Pues agang zo magatati palaan za Olifis o number giza guiza. Sa credit card, esti komunikasyon ni, senyor, no? Andiyan gintawagan yung departamento. Ay, ti pa binabubo na esti contributing factor tutungo ko ga cross-training. Kasi agang tati palang nga, my director told me to tell you that the client just walked in and he will not be able to talk to you today. So I told her, I said, okay, thank you so much. Debbie, tutungo si public law o apa sa sangan si director 85 tayo apa sih? Deputy apa sih zaman na tayo? Title 85. Tutungo sa nigay na informasyon loko credit card gi para pago na diniskuti sa tima apizo takti. I attempted 3 times. It really frustrates me that there's no connection or no information, accurate information to the tempo. They give me a number to avail my or seek information gives a stipend. Too much run around. Time is of essence. So malaguzo na be fan recommenda dangin na ugwa cross training ti una na division bula na division gi pero di man manopi telefon na ugwa mas claro na direction din in ajudo ni tauto sa I felt like I was not my questions, my callings. Ejo go na timatendi ni timatendi zo. Mukpaya ani timagang sa babi masangani na lo critical estimampos information. Yotro na punto na mana kumikansi sa pago sa ilako na ti una na division. Debe na ta network it. Debe na guhalis public awareness ganozo nga managwaha gi publiko ni para ofan ma-edukay tao pot ofan na proposal no ma-propopo ni. Senators and amzo ni tumungo pot ga na baba fan no ikurson medyo sa mga man inefendi ni afa no na informasyon tagagago sa gwano ng kasi afa malati kita alisiping afa na kekegwado and those are contributing factors ni tisina gwaha lolo tisina man yung honor hit para ta ajuda mo na no mo advocate afa machotsog sin mas again ti mo na nabubuzo na I'm just stating facts that information is very important especially through antes do matutuni public hearing. Si Jesus Masi.
Jesus Masi, Mr. San Nicolas. Still open for public comment. Director Lekuna dang yung punribado sa malingata. Ano na this public hearing is for the two legislation. I think it was saying it relates to the legislation inquiring information of a species na lo. Como ta allowed, if we allow the public to be rebuttaling each other, or we don't want to create any misunderstanding in this room, because the purpose of this is to allow the members of the general public to comment on the legislation before us, whether they're in support or not. So please stick within the context of the legislation. As much as possible, let's not argue in this room. And if that should be brought to rectify the matter, then please let's do that maybe on another day or another place, not in this, because we are recording this and we don't want the members of the general public to argue over a statement that is brought before this committee. So I ask for your patience, Director. Maybe perhaps you can respond to the individual on another time, or maybe through or in writing, or maybe request to meet. I appreciate your patience and understanding. So it's still open for public comment. Anyone else? Again, this is to comment whether you're in support or not. Any other comments that is brought that is not related with this, we will not entertain them. And that comment will be struck out from the record. So please refrain from discussing other issue that is not within the context of the two legislation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is John Atao. I am in full support of both of this, but just based on what's happening in this room today, I would like to request if it is possible that before these two bills are finalized, that we offer additional public education and allow the public to provide or give an input on this particular two matters. There was a lot of good points put out today, and I think if we reiterate further information so that the public can be fully aware of what exactly we will be facing in the future. Granted, these two are going to protect the island and what it produces from the bird and from the deers. But yes, I would just like to ask that further public education and input be considered and be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ato. Anyone else in the gallery? No one else? If no one else, receiving public comment is now closed. If any member wish to make any statement before we proceed with our agenda, recognize President of Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We appreciate the comments made on all platform. Both legislations. That's the function of Aguiguan patay ko of a concerns tagadesi of siya na mensahe man sa ni delegation. I too would like to consider maybe some assistance from the agencies that are being asked to be responsible with this, to provide us with some data or some numbers or statistics and all that. And I appreciate one of the speakers, primarily the deputy director, for providing. He started out with a numbers, for example, the Ibinado, and we often hear that there's quite a few here on Tinian. I'm not sure, but the intent of both legislation is very noble, and I appreciate the comments offered. One just recently saying that we provide more time to avail to the public, for more inputs. That's a good suggestion. So thank you for your participation, and I look forward to more participations on future public hearings on any legislative proposal before you. Okay, this is Mr. Chairman. And finally, before I yield, I want to commend the sponsor and the author of the bill for arriving with this proposal for the betterment of or the protection of both animals that right now are prevalent here on our islands. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I'd like to recognize the author of this legislation, Congressman Patrick St. Nicholas.
Thank you, Chairman. No, yeah, thank you so much. Ni manggagam sa bonito mga aristi patay kong publiko sa siya no mulilito do afalam tanota muna utsogisin na bill sapot para tayo kumas para i-proteksyonis siya na nagaga ni para i-futuron totota da gobnitus ti sa tisya na para mi sa sinigi. We need all the inputs of our general public da no daos na no na public hearing sa bola sumupot sustel lo wa may simpro wa matalay kay sanalom no we can always do that in our delegation level or pata amenda ni para masta na bonitos na lo ni profanin na juda todo totota no isali no kulan kwa hasta rules and regulation no director no na proma pite lo loko lo mas no kulan giprago ne mas kulan mas mit good kg rules and regs no zangin tas postas sa tasbotas ti quasi più emendane ji zangin matti lugat mo za ni na dadon yun no tinanon mo ngare somo pero nasuai no sa ni na dadon yo lo zangin ji prata hujung za pata han no stigi para no proprietary sa I donisali actually mo nagwasti pika festival za mampus dang klustinan no festivities pika za bulan no totota or bula bisitata man halum za ginu no halum pika festival no inigi na rason mo na introduce na sa mga na para tanagwa no pika festival za taza donisali mo bibende no that's the whole purpose na nagwasti na law sa pagpapatihe itotota ni man no ni man ni edo ni no loki no that's extra income for them no makanin lala no masyadji it really helps us napatapatihe na no sa don ni solin tunga director na namdo todo na idon ni soli kakon isali isali kakon idon ni soli no or tamano ni pron lo no pes umbi tuminani no mandoko malag no itotota ma kusetsa pes malomong mabendi no guano bukannya dan todo Augusti Bernardo no intention mo ini sustainability of our natural resources no in the future. We don't know when it's going to happen. Pro o makalofa international shipment of produce. Sa giguna tapatehes no Profe ni batas di siya man dikikita ni no tapapoksa ni pagfamagunta no siya aprovechar no sa no titatungo ako pero mas sedi tano sa ginaji ta prewa no mo sedi guaka prewa mas masyafa man no baboy pero no siya ng kanonatibo no ni debe na ta proteger lo que pues este binado no para ta uchom na yun sa giguna mangta mas no siya tababa sa tana season ja nanayam ju todo ni mangai gini undang kul na sus mas ni jon mizu a comment in regards to this two house local no government itu na talwani ja talambay undang kul na sus mas thank you chairman ayut for now.
Thank you. Good. Any objection from the member to allow, since I close public comment, to allow audience to say more about the legislation? Any objection from the member?
No objection.
Okay, go ahead.
I pa bin Natungam doon na, ay, ito ko contrast na biyo. Okay? Usasangan na hafaloki contributing factor giji iden ni sali muna ti bumubula doon ni tinian ni. Tamana di sangan na unoy taw-taw ta. Di manawalong galon tano na mahulog, mabugbog na. Matulis tayo gima. Wasyan yung Facebook, mapapot gi ramas gigima. Pusini uno na factor loki na. Isali o sa popota, sa gizot sa malalapunin no. Law i-akso loki no sumotsogi na. Hita ni taw-taw loki. Sumotsogi no. No, i-climate change loki, may pinam mampustano. Mandokui do ni saligi open na lugar matay mandoku gi papatrongku matay ata lo sa tinang no somnang ni ibinaudo no usupopotay no daw desisyon na 5 years ano sa Paraguay tibulas di italili pa ako sa jigi ni talog bulas ang ingwaman mga plelen na kinakano tinanom niya ninadadal niyo tinanom niya na pues mauli ka sa ni 4 years so kwanto niyo na niyo ni pues supopotal ko tinabyo mga manlinaisin na nalong na Aguiguan sa ay supopota istinabyo no dinansi no na dinisiya para tasogi tanota sa Pino Congressman daw na tali famagonta no taymano ya juju ni fanina no tasupot tayo no mauli ka no na biyo usangan na gitutun na usupota pudigwaha di lekun si tayo na menda no taymano di usangan talo ni crossbow atan no sa nasun may samdo ni ko safe pati safe pray tanota mampusilensyo sa enwa na ko concern ni titawungo ang paki tawungo na mamayla zaman malogwit no enwa Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director. Ganon sa nga na Erlan na kung sa pabuta lugaza mo no recommendation dan si Jesus masih para toro samzo no manus pe konso no chairman nagagaw gini sa loki man noyo input gini gi dosal na okto ni introduce as congressman and also to you Mr. Espinosa. Thank you for coming over and representing the mayor and stating his input on this legislation. I appreciate, and especially the members of the general public for your participation in this important public hearing process. At this time, all public comment or testimony that are presented this evening will be taken and will be included in the committee recommendation report. However, comments that is raised that is not related with this public hearing, I allowed the council and the staff to strike out those comments that is not related with this hearing. So will not be on the committee report and will be forwarded to the full members of this delegation for consideration or rejection on the legislation. So again, on behalf of the 22nd Tinian legislative delegation and staff, we appreciate your participation in this very important public hearing process. So at this time, do I hear a motion for adjournment? There's a motion and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is now adjourned. Undang ko na si Usmasi.